Well, as the weekend has begun, well, today I'm going to be reviewing two ChocoPro events. The first one is going to be from 338 and then, of course, 339. I don't know exactly what took place, but it's going to be a little interesting. And then, of course, we move on with AEW Collision. As you know, we get closer and closer, 1 week away from full gear. So anything could happen from here on out. And then, of course, we cap it up with some news updates. So we have only three of them to reveal about. Some matches that have been added, and of course, a retirement from a Yoshi wrestler. So let's get ready for another episode of Deleted Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Deleted Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, Impact Wrestling, the National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J-Rod here. So, if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is the channel we do a lot of reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, um, the factions, whatever we can get our hands on in order to make a good discussion for everyone. We also do news updates in case I'm unable to put it here on this episode and various other cool things. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button and you'll be getting a lot of daily reviews. And of course, if you like this episode, give us a like on the like button or leave us a comment down below. Now, let's begin with our very first review. This is from ChocoPro with number 338. It opened up with Chiko Shikawa. Basically, I'm going to presume this is the show where she injured herself. I'll explain a little bit later on the next review. She opened up, gave it the lowdown on what's going on, the matches. It starts out with Chonshiru teaming with Masahiro Takanashi to take on Sawade Kamen and Chi. So that kind of sets it all in right there. Pretty good match now. However, I have seen how she is very resilient, especially when she's too much energy. However, that wasn't the case. It was, of course, Chonchiru with a very interesting Amasa with a very interesting submission onto Shiko Shikawa to force her to quit, and she had no other choice to do that. But yes, next up we have an interesting singles match. We have Dr. Gore taking on Antonio Honda. Now, of course, we have seen Honda with his usual jokes that he does. I mean, he does palm reading, and then of course gets you with the fox. But however, Dr. Gore, he's a bit more funnier than him. He just tells you are sick. So he goes that. So basically, who's more funnier? But in this case, it was Antonio Honda who walked out as the victor when he applied a bridge onto him, and 1, 2, 3, it was done. Next up, we have Miyu Yotsuba teaming up with Mochi Natsumi to take on Sayaka Obihiro, and of course Kurumi Hiragi. Now, if you guys know this or not, Mochi Natsumi, and Kurumi Hiragi are both members of Prominence. So it's kind of interesting that those two are opposite sides, but of course, Prominence members are not afraid to face each other, or especially if they stand opposite each other outside of their usual shows that they normally do. But it was a real fun match. However, of course, you have the power of um, Hiragi, who is very strong. But however, I did like the resiliency of Mia, who was determined to pick up her first win. But however, it was Obihiro who picked up the win by pinning Mia 1, 2, 3. Now, for our Jonkin tournament, this was a very interesting match tournament that I've ever watched. Kurumi, this was her first time ever competing. Now, she won her first round. The second round, well, she was not so lucky because she actually lost to Mia. But however, Mia, on the other hand, was the one who made it all the way to the finals. But unfortunately, she did not win. She ended up losing in the hands of Dr. Gore. So that's pretty much it. What happened in 338. Let's move on with 339. Okay, ChocoPro 339. Now, I failed to mention this on 338. The 338 show from ChocoPro took place on the 11th, on November 1st of this year. This one, 339, just recently took place today on the 10th of November. So that's pretty interesting. Now, once again, we see Cheiko Shikawa open up the show. Um, if you, I have noticed that you don't see her left arm. Basically, there was she fractured her left elbow, front and back. So I hope she's okay. But I'm glad that she was able to just open the show like everyone, like what Balian and Mei Suga has done in the past. So she once again gives the lowdown of the entire show. So we'll see what happens from here on out. Now, first match we have once again another tag team with Masahiro Takanashi and Antonio Honda. This time he takes on Andrew Tang all the way from Thailand in from the setup promotion, and he teams up with, of course, one half of the KOD Tag Team Champions, Shota. Now, Shota, he is some people say he's a pain in the butt, and if you guys aren't fans of Shota, you should know this. This guy is a big fan of Eddie Guerrero. He now declares El Paso his second home because of Eddie Guerrero. That's why. So it's great that he's there, but however, he was the most hated person in the entire match. But in the end, it was who was Honda with a very interesting submission onto Andrew Tang, and it was over right from there. So pretty awesome. Now our next match we have Sayaka versus Dr. Gore versus Sayaka Obihiro. So we got both Sayakas involved. Now I will call Obihiro by her last name due to the fact that the other Sayaka, well, she just goes by that name, but no last name whatsoever. It was a pretty good match, but it was funny. There was a moment where, of course, Dr. Gore tried to throw out his usual quirks about people being sick. He really got into Sayaka, but Obihiro, she's like the kind of person who's like, I'm not playing this crap. So basically, she didn't fell for it. However, that wasn't enough to that wasn't well. Basically, it wasn't enough for Dr. Gore to try to put her away, but Sayaka somehow was able to pick up another good win, but this time on Dr. Gore. I mean, that was pretty impressive. So I have to say it was great. Now, our main event, once again, we have the team of Miya Yatsuba and Mochi Natsumi taking on Coyote Yonayama and Mei Suruga. Now, it was interesting to see those two team up because recently they have been proving who is one of the best high speedsters in the Yoshi world. But it was interesting. However, Miya Yatsuba, on the other hand, once again, she gets to face her mentor across diagonally from her. Uh, but it did not do any well. However, I did like how Yonayama and Suruga were able to separate Mochi Natsumi, allowing for both Yonayama and Mei to pick up a double pinfall. They both pinned Miyatsuba on her, and it was over right from there. Now, Jonkin tournament. This was almost a very interesting one for me. I wasn't too sure how this was going to go, but however, I was hoping for Sayaka to somehow defeat Dr. Gore, which he did. She did, and somehow she picked up the interesting win of the chocolate. So that was real fun. However, during the post show, Masahiro Takanashi has announced for their next Got to Move show, which will take place on the 20th of November. We do know that CDK will be getting an opportunity for the Agent Dream tag team titles that are currently being held by Mei Suruga and Balinaki, aka the Best Bros. That particular match is more like a rectifying match for the Best Bros, knowing that the last time they lost to them, they lost the tag title. So it's more like they want to right a wrong. Another matches were actually set. I'll get to those at some other point. But for now, we finish with ChocoPro and move on with AEW Collision. Okay, our last review, AEW Collision. It opened up with Andrade El Idolo. Now, recently we have been seeing CJ Perry, who you may remember as Lana back in WWE. She recently reappeared to help Miro to deal with Hobbs. However, because Miro was unable to listen to her, try to pretend that she's not there. However, she decided that, you know what, if he did not want my help, then I'll give someone else another existence. So she had her eye on Andrade, so he made his decision, and it turns out he gladly accepted her offer. However, Miro was doesn't seem too pleased. But however, Andrade, I have to say he had an amazing match against Daniel Garcia. I mean, a bit of the most technical aspects, but he went through a lot of hell with this guy, with Daniel Garcia. However, this match really was impressive. I really think it was a pretty good one, a good opener. But Andrade, on the other hand, was the one who picked up the victory when he applied the figure eight, and it was over right from there. Now, our next match we have Nick Wayne versus Dalton Castle. Um, I don't know what was the significance of having this match, but it did show that Nick Wayne is willing to learn from his so-called father figure, the so-called man who is the father of the year, Christian Cage. So basically, but of course, Luchasaurus was going to get involved. It was no secret. And then, of course, the boys tried to help, but it wasn't no good. But however, Nick Wayne took out Dalton Castle with a cloud cutter. I don't know if they're going to give that name, but we'll see what happens until then. Now, Hangman, as you know, he's been on Inge ever since Swerve Strickland broke into his house, broke across the line. So he decided they're going to have this match between them in full gear in a Texas death match. So I'm not sure what Swerve would think of it, but I'm sure he'll think he's going to walk out of it. We know Hangman has been experienced in Texas death matches before, so we'll see where that plays out. Now, our next match, we have the members of La Facción Ingobernable, Rush and Derlístico taking on the Workhorsemen. I have to say, what a good match. I mean, look, you look at the Workhorsemen, they are like the blue collar type wrestlers, very not they have a bit of the technical aspect a little bit when it comes to chopping and all this other stuff. But however, you look at the LFI, they are more vicious and dangerous. That's always been the play out. But however, Rush proved why nada pasa at all to Drake when he applied the bull horns onto him, and it was done right from there. Now, this was told what happened last on the Rampage on after FTR defeated Commander. It appears that the Kings of the Black Throne, more specifically Malachi Black and Brody King, have their sights set on the tag team titles to irritate FTR. So basically, they're gunning for those tag titles, and that was the clear case what's going on. However, Julia even decided that she doesn't understand why Sky Blue or Willow Nightingale had embraced the dark side when she missed them. But however, she is demanding another opportunity of the TBS title. So that is something that will be determined on that. Now, of course, speaking of Chris Statlander, Lex Senior applied a interview with both Statlander and Willa Nangel. Apparently, Willa will be in an action against Julia for an opportunity to be in a three-way match for the TBS title. However, Statlander did say that she'd rather like to have Willow Nightingale because she's more deserving than Julia. So we'll see what happens. Our next match, we have Roderick Strong taking on Darius Martin. I have to say, Darius put a pretty good performance on this match. I think it was very impressive. However, it was, of course, the heartache by Roderick Strong to pick up the win. As soon as the match was over, the Kingdom decided to obliterate Darius Martin, but Action Andrade shows up to give out a hand. But however, he was not there in time to help him properly. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, Tony Khan and Bryan Danielson announced for something interesting. Now, we were supposed to have Bryan Danielson to be at All In this year, but due to his injury, he was unable to do so. But he did announce because he will have his final year in AEW. He wants to have his match at All In 2024, which is exciting news. However, another exciting news, another a tournament has been announced by Tony Khan called the Continental Classic. It's a round robin tournament type. This starts in on the 22nd of November and it finishes on the 27th of December in Orlando, Florida, and there will be a finals. But however, Tony Khan did announce that Bryan Danielson is the first participant to be announced, so it's still unclear. There will be 12 wrestlers. Now they already announced one. Who will be the 11th? The 11th lucky recipients. We just gotta wait and see. Our next match we have Will Nightingale versus Julia Hart. Of course, Brody King is gonna be there to help Julia Hart, but it did not work for Julia Hart to use him as a way to distract Willow, but it didn't. However, it was a moonsault by Julia Hart that picked up the win against Willow Nightingale. Now, our next match, Ricky Starks and Big Bill. Apparently, they are not. They were told that, of course, FTR, Kings of the Black Throne, LFI are now looking for the tag titles. Now, Stark and Ricky say that it's not going to happen. It's never going to happen, so it's never going to happen. However, Lex Lanier revealed that it is going to happen on at Full Gear. So basically, they're not happy with the idea that this is happening, but they believe they are confident enough that will walk out once they take out everyone else. So we'll see what happens until then for them. Now, Paul White joins the commentary table because we have Powerhouse Hobbs taking on Titus Alexander. Well, I can tell you that this match ended with Powerhouse Hobbs winning, and then Don Callis, who was questioning Paul White joining Jericho, who he considers him a narcissist or psychopath. I mean, Big Show would do anything for Jericho, even though back then they were known as the Jericho Show. But they try to give him a warning to back away. But of course, Big Paul White refuses so. Of course, the scare tactics by Powerhouse Hobbs did not work. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, FTR does another interview with Lexi. Of course, they are well aware that everybody's gunning for the tag title, so they'll be also looking for that one opportunity. So we just got to wait and see what happens. Our main event we have is Lance Archer and the Righteous, Vincent and Dutch, taking on Darby Allin, Sting, and Adam Copeland. I have to say, pretty good match. You know, seeing now we can see a cohesive team together. I mean, Adam Copeland, Sting, and Darby Allin. I have to say, great, great cohesion. It was a spear by Copeland onto Vincent that pick up the win, and of course, to spoil their little victory, we have Christian Cage along with Nick and Luchasaurus. So we'll see what happens at Dynamite this coming Wednesday. Right now, let's just move on with news updates. Okay, welcome to news updates. Um, for our first update, we have, of course, we have three of them. Um, More updates on the Whiplash show by West Coast Pro. On the 17th of this month, they announced Rachel Ellering, Strong Smile, takes on Sandra Moon. I think that's going to be a pretty good match. Now, I don't follow much but this promotion. We have the West Side Extreme Wrestling based out of Germany. They just announced that they have a brand new XWX Women's World Champion, and that is none other than Masha Slamovich. So that's a pretty good match to enjoy. Um, and finally, our last update. Right now, as we speak, it's already Japan over there. It's already Sunday. Um, Saki Akai has now officially retired from pro wrestling. If you guys aren't familiar with her, she is a Yoshi wrestler who's been only been wrestling in intergender matches with DDT. She has been wrestling for almost 10 years. She was also a model, but she announced months ago that she will be retiring. I mean, it's sad to see her go, but of course, you got to move on from the next chapter of your life. And the first time I actually got to know her, I was watching DDT's New Year's event where they were in Tokyo, all over Tokyo in certain areas. Saki was with someone meeting up with her team from Eruption, most Yukio Sakaguchi and former member Kazusuda Iguchi. Um, they were facing Dino and two others. I thought that match was pretty funny, but I think it was really great to see them. But I enjoyed Saki Sakai, seeing I hope she's happy wherever she's gonna be at in her next chapter of her life. So I think that's pretty much it right now for everything else. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode. Coming up, we do have the Unagi Sayaka watch. We have various reviews from her matches coming from the strong style pro wrestling, um, a few independent shows, the GLEAT show, and of course others like GTO and Colors, and of course upcoming matches that she has been booked with GCW that will take place here in the States. So yeah, so we'll get to that at some point. But for now, we'll just end it right here, and I'll see you guys in the next DWZ time. Same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So goodbye. And have a nice day.